Welcome, my name is Andreas Patikis and I'm the founder of the Grey Cotswolds, where we offer unique courses and retreats around stress and wellbeing, anger management, parenting and sports performance for a healthier mind and body. Our venues are set in the beautiful and relaxing Cotswolds countryside with luxurious private dining and facilities. Our specialist team have vast knowledge and experience with beneficial therapies and advice, all in one place, to help with any challenges and empower you for life. Discover a new way of living through our podcasts and prepare to enter a world that is not black and white. Let us accept the colours in between. Welcome to the Grey Cotswolds. Welcome everyone. Today I have Laura Carter with me and Laura's had parts in Emmerdale, Holby City, Casualty, as well as films like Once Upon a Time in London. And she also appeared in Big Brother a few years ago, which had a negative impact on her journey. And we'll be talking more about that. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is my first podcast. I have to say, this is my first podcast. I'm slightly nervous, but I'm excited. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And you're in good hands. How are you feeling?
This whole, even just talking, even having the camera on me, talking on camera, being recorded, I feel quite nervous about it. And it's one of the things that I feel came from the Big Brother experience, because I feel like I'm automatically being judged. Am I going to say something wrong? So this for me is amazing practice, I guess, to be on camera again and start talking again and having a voice. So, yeah. So
this could be a bit like therapy for you.
A little bit. I think if it was just you and me sat here now without the cameras on, I'd be absolutely fine. People think that I'm brimming with confidence. I bounce into a room and I'm really kind of, I have lots of energy, but that kind of, inside I feel really like, I've got a camera on me.
It's a trigger.
Yeah, it's a real trigger, but I really hope that doing this and doing more of this kind of thing is just going to allow me to, not be triggered by.
Well, it's okay to be triggered. I know you don't like the feeling by the sounds of things of being triggered, but it's understandable. We've got lights, we've got cameras, we've got people, and it's understandable, especially when we talk about later about your experience, and what that all means to you. So first of all, I want to say I appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming here, and the bravery to be here to talk, to step outside your comfort zone as well. Hopefully it helps you and helps the people out there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's take it back a bit on your journey so far. So from your childhood, who or what were your influences?
Oh, good question. My influences, I always, I guess, I don't know whether it's a cliche thing to say, but my mom was such a big influence in me. For me, she was just always so kind and caring and giving, and she was a major influence. Do you mean in terms of in your life? Just in my life. I don't know who else really influenced me. I guess loads of people, but I can't think. This is one of the things when I get put on the spot, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know.
I'm going to be putting you on the spot a lot today.
That's just a small question compared as well.
Well, with your mum then, what sort of values and beliefs did she bring forward in your life that you carry through now?
Again, just the kindness and the caring, and the she was always such a she was like the glue that kept our family together, and just I think that's one thing that I have, I guess, through all my experiences in my life, because I've had a very colourful life. Kindness is the one thing that I've always had, and I think that was from my mum, because she, that's how she always was. So I've kind of, does that make sense?
Yeah. And was there an influence from her too? How did you get into your acting? How did that come about?
Oh, now then, that really is a question. Do you want me to do the long route, or do you want me to do it in a nutshell?
We've got an hour or two, or is it going to take a few days?
Right. Okay. So I was always at school. I was always, really confident, and I was always the funny one. I was always the one that always made everybody laugh. And I, obviously being a redhead, I was different at school. And as much as I love it now, it was really hard being a redhead at school because I was so different and I stuck out like a sore thumb. And I wish I could tell myself, that I could just tell that little girl, like, it's beautiful, like, it's amazing to be different. Anyway, so because I had that difference and I hated it, it was almost like I was the funny one to kind of overcompensate, I was like, anyway, so I carried that through. And when I got to about 14, 15, I got a little bit of a rebellious side. Like, I started being really like naughty at school. I'd bunk off school and go and get my ears pierced 10 times and be the one that was smoking behind the bike shed and doing all that kind of thing. So I'd kind of like gone from being this like just lovely, very well behaved little girl to quite a naughty girl at school. Then when I was 15, my mum said to me, "What do you actually want to do, Laura?" And I said, "I don't care, Mum. I'll work in Morrison's as long as I can go out on a weekend with my friends." Bearing in mind I was only 15 at the time. I said, "I just want to be able to go out. I don't care where I work, really." And she went, "What do you love doing?" And I said, "Dancing." Because I'd danced my whole life. So she said, "Right, well, why don't you think about going to a performing arts college?" So I went for an audition at this performing arts college, and I'd walked into the room that said dance on the door. There was a dance door, and then there was a drama door. And when I walked into this room, there was a girl there that I used to be really, really good friends with, but we'd fallen out. I didn't want to be in the same room as this girl. So I thought, shit, oh my God, I don't want to be in this room anymore. So I went out and I walked into the acting room. Right. I never even contemplated being an actress. Anyway, so I'd walked into this room, and this is why I was telling you about me being like the funny one at school and everything. I just like completely came out of my shell, and I was just making everybody laugh, and I ended up going into this weird comedy sketch, and I got a place at the drama school. And if it wasn't for that girl being in the dance room when I'd gone for this audition, I would never have done acting. So I was all of a sudden on this course doing drama, did A-level drama, and I guess that's how it was born.
You accidentally fell into it.
I accidentally fell into it. I always wanted to be a dancer, and then I went into acting, and I don't know, it just all felt right at that point. And then I carried on from there. I went to uni for a year and did drama. But while I was at uni doing drama, I already had an acting agent, and I was already going for auditions and doing all the beauty pageants and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, there's no point in me being at uni. I might as well just go to London. So when I think I was 19, I was really, really young. My auntie lived in London. She lived in Enfield. And I said to my mum and dad, I want to just leave uni and go to London and be an actress and perform. So I remember literally not really giving it much thought, left uni, got in my auntie's car. She was coming up for a family party. Got in my auntie's car, drove to London, and the rest is history. Literally. Yeah.
And how did it feel when you got your first breakthrough?
I was really, really lucky because I had a really great acting agent. And she got me in the door for so many things. And I just remember getting my first ever part on a hospital drama called The Royal Today. And it was only one episode, but it was huge. It was just so huge. And it was amazing. And the funny thing was, I was living in London, but the filming was in, I think it was the BRI where I was born. So I was filming, in Bradford. I was filming in the BRI where I was born. So that was my first ever part, and it just felt so amazing. Like, I was so proud of myself. And I think I was so young. I was probably about 20 when I did my first ever TV job. But I didn't have any of this. I love being in front of the camera. Loved it so much. I didn't have any of this kind of nervousness that I do now, which is so weird because I've kind of gone from being this uber confident girl, like, get me in front of the camera, to like, oh.
I suppose we become more conscious and we develop, don't we, from our brain at that age of 20 you describe.
Yeah.
We're a bit more carefree, aren't we? And then we move on to our 30s and we're sort of a bit more conscious of the world around us and the people. And
Definitely. So yeah, that's how I got into acting, and that's how I started.
And through your acting career, did that change you or your relationships or the type of relationships you had with different people, your family, your partners? Did that have any type of influence?
I was always, as well as my acting, I was still a dancer. I was doing like all kinds of things. I was doing a lot of commercials as well, a lot of commercial modelling too. So I was always in that world of performers, actors, models, dancers. In that kind of performing world, there's a lot of crazy people as well, a lot of party people, a lot of, you know what it's like. Just, you end up meeting very interesting people. Anyway, for me, because I was so young, it was all a little bit too much. So I ended up moving back home again. And I started seeing a guy that was in Emmerdale. We were actually together for 7 years. We were engaged to be married. And his brother was like a really well-known film actor. So we used to do all sorts. We used to go to premieres. I actually forgotten the question that you asked me. What did you ask me? Oh, how did it affect relationships and stuff?
How was your life then? You know, it sounds like you say, you're in that circle, you're in that lifestyle. And I don't know, what was you feeling through that, I suppose? Was it fulfilling? You obviously achieved to, be an actress and get yourself your part.
I was definitely in the circles that I needed to be. I was definitely socializing with, everyone that I'd kind of aspired, looked up to. I was like, I was fine. I was there. I was in the circles, but it had, I don't want to talk about that relationship too much, but being an actor, constantly getting knocks, you're not always getting the parts that you're going for. And because we were constantly having to G each other up when we didn't get the parts. So that was all, it can be a hard business to be in, really. So in terms of like, how did that affect my relationships and stuff? It was tough, really.
Pressure?
Yeah, just a lot of pressure. And it was, for me personally, I was either really, really high, on a high, or really low. And so was my partner at the time. And sometimes if it was off balance, like if he'd got a role and I hadn't, it was like this constant, like, it was a lot. Anyway, that relationship ended up, we broke up like literally 2 months before we were supposed to get married. So yeah, it brought a lot of pressure and things that you probably wouldn't know. Do you know?
And how did you manage that pressure at the time? Because it sounds, stressful, like you say, different parts. Some parts you get, some parts you don't. Yeah. Different dynamics in the relationship. What did you do to manage all of that?
I actually don't. I can't remember what we used to. We tried not to bring it home, I guess. We tried not to bring work home with us. But
so you buried a lot of it?
Yeah, I guess we did, really. Yeah, I guess we did. But I remember my mum always used to say to me, "Gosh, Laura, you're always either really, really happy." I'd either be ringing her going, "Oh my God, guess what? I've got this part. Oh my God, it's amazing. Or, oh my God, Mum, I'm down to the last two. And like, I'm talking, you know, I used to audition and people, it's actually crazy, but I used to be like really close to getting parts in things like Downton Abbey, Call the Midwife, these huge shows up against these really big actors. So I was like, oh my God, Mum, I'm nearly there. Like, and then I wouldn't get it. And it was like, oh my God, the whole world's crashed around me. So yeah, that was quite mentally, now that I'm talking about it, it's quite mentally, yeah, I guess it was really hard on a personal level, and being with somebody that was in the industry as well.
Sounds, exhausting, mentally roller coaster, constant mind, emotional there.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a bit to when you were offered to go on Big Brother. Where was your energy? Where were your thoughts there? What made you decide to go on it?
This is really, I feel like this is long. This is the bit that I find really hard talking about, because it, I feel like I went backwards. Right, just say the question again, just so I've got it in my mind, because this is when, how did I...
Well, you described that emotional sort of roller coaster with parts and your relationship and the difficulties and breaking up. And I'm just wondering, when this opportunity came on Big Brother, where was you with your energy, your spirit, your mental well-being, I suppose, at that point of, proceeding with that?
Okay. So remember how I said I was in a long relationship. I was going to get married. 2 months before the wedding, we broke it off. And that was the time that I went wild. So I wasn't in any kind of place, like spiritually, or I think I was a little bit of a lost soul in that part of my life. I was 28. I was dancing in nightclubs, I was partying, I was socializing with people that weren't necessarily good for me to be socializing with, quite toxic people. So I was very emotionally, I felt a little bit lost. Anyway, I didn't do Big Brother. That wasn't the first reality TV show that I did. I did a show called Young, Free and Single. And I remember... it was Facebook at the time. That was a social media platform that, everybody was on. And I remember I'd kind of gone from being this, I was never quiet, but I definitely wasn't a party girl. So everyone around me, including all the casting directors, had seen me kind of go from being here to being this wild party girl. A casting director, I remember, asked me, and they basically said to me, do you want to be on this new reality TV series? And at first I was like, no, oh my God, no, I would never do a reality TV series. It goes against everything that I've ever worked for. It's like unheard of. Well, back in this was like 8 years ago. Was it 8 years ago? It's really, really unheard of for like an actor to go into reality. So I was like, no. And this, anyway, so I'd gone in for these, I'd said no, but then I thought, do you know what? This little devil on my shoulder was really intrigued, and I thought, I'm going to just go and meet them. I'll just go and meet them. I'll see what this is about. Anyway, they kind of persuaded me into it by saying, it's not going to affect your acting career. It's just a bit of fun. It's just a dating show. There's nothing that really can go wrong. Anyway, that show in particular was absolutely fine. I actually really, really loved that. But it was after I did that show that I really started to spiral even more out of control with the partying and the the toxicity of that world. So when the casting directors could obviously see that, they were like, whoa, there's this crazy party girl. And then when they asked me to do Big Brother, I was not in a good place at all. Like I feel like I'd totally lost myself. I wasn't in a good space at all when they asked me to do Big Brother. Yeah, that was your question, wasn't it? Like, where were you kind of mentally when they asked you to do it? So yeah, I wasn't in a good place at all.
So going into it, you weren't in a good place, and then you're in this environment, which is a very strange environment to be in. How long was you in there for?
I was actually in there for 7 weeks.
Okay, so quite a bit of time of, again, being in that strange environment.
Yeah.
It's difficult now because it's a few years down, but what can you remember feeling while you were in there?
Horrendous. I felt like I do now. I literally, I'm like this away from the camera. I felt so suppressed. It was the most. I had a lot of bad experiences in there that I feel like I've spoken about already. I shared with everybody on my mental health video, and I don't feel like I need to really. I just had a really, really, really bad time in there. Really negative experience, and the house was just, it was made to be a negative place. Like everything was black and white. They used to play mind games with us. They deliberately, so say if we were just having a chat like between us, then play that chat out loud to everybody so that everybody could hear what you'd been saying. The whole thing was just so negative.
It's just messing with you mentally throughout.
Messing. And I went into the house in a bad place mentally anyway. And then I was in this house. I felt nervous and anxious, and I just wanted to run away. I just wanted to escape. And I remember going into the diary room and saying, I feel really vulnerable. But I just felt like I wasn't being heard, like nobody cared if I felt vulnerable. Nobody, I definitely wish, actually I was just about to say I wish that, obviously I wish I hadn't have done it. But everything that I went through has made me into the person that I am today. So I have to now be grateful for all those experiences and what I went through, because I wouldn't be where I am today without it. So I always look back on that experience and think, oh God, I wish I'd have just done everything so differently. But if I'd have done it differently, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Was you angry after it?
Yeah, I was angry. I was ashamed, embarrassed. I literally, I'm trying not to cry. I literally, I feel like they're the worst emotions that a person can feel. Regret, shame, and embarrassment are probably the heaviest emotions it was just an overbearing, horrible, horrible time.
And what did you do with that anger? How do you usually express anger if you're angry?
So, I'm a redhead.
Did that answer?
I'm a redhead.
Yeah. Okay.
So I am, I'm very passionate, and if I'm angry, then I express it in being loud and argumentative. But I used to be like that anyway. After the show, I think I really suppressed how I felt, because I tried to be okay. I tried to still be happy and positive and be okay. So on the outside, everybody thought, oh, she's fine. And I had that before I went to therapy. I had a mindset of mind over matter, just, kind of be positive and everything will be fine. But I was suppressing it.
That was your coping
It was my
strategy.
coping strategy, just to be like, oh, it's fine, this happened, but and I was really like that, until I started getting triggered by tiny, tiny little things and being like really angry over things that were so unrelated to anything that I'd been through. But I clearly had this anger inside of me that I was suppressing. And like an irritability as well that I'd never really had before, like irritable. And I had my baby as well at this point. So I had Jackson, and I was just finding, not that I was ever angry with him, ever, but I just meaning like, I don't know, like I'd find myself where I'd be driving along, getting like road rage at like, I was getting anger in like strain with just things, tiny triggers and stuff. Anyway, then I started having therapy, and I realised that all these emotions, like the anger, like crying for no reason, like just, it was all from that. I was just getting triggered. And
Well, you say, when I asked you about anger, you said you're a redhead. So all your life, or I'm imagining if, you've described yourself as a redhead, you'd express it, you'd tell people how you felt, or, you're angry at that, out it comes. And it seems like you've come out of the Big Brother house feeling all that stuff you felt before going in, stuff you felt whilst you're in there. And then you've come out, and then you've got public eye on you. You've got reporters or whatever saying whatever they're saying, and your coping strategy was to just maybe lay low, stay positive, try and get on with it. And it seems that anger was, in our anger course that we do on the retreat, one of our anger courses, you're imploding, you're holding that anger in, and we call it the anger sack. You're throwing everything into that sack, and you're carrying it around with you. And then road rage, probably something you've not done before.
yeah, it was just little things. It was just crazy. It was just like little things. And like, and causing arguments with people that really, there was nothing. It was just out of character. It was just, you've just literally hit the nail on the head. I felt like I was imploding. I felt like I just needed to, I was just clearly holding everything that I felt inside in.
And from holding it in, it's either going to come out, or you're going to explode in rage, rather than just expressing anger healthily, I suppose. You're going to explode with someone or something.
Yeah.
Or worse, and that's where your addictions and self-harm come into it. And and at that time, what did you need? What was it you needed at that time?
I needed to talk about what had happened, because I hadn't actually talked about it. And when I had talked about it, I'd pretended everything was okay. So I think I needed somebody to listen to me and to actually be honest and say to me, what you've been through is really not okay, and not normal either. Wasn't a normal experience to have. Like, it's not normal to just everything that I'd kind of been through, all that pressure and judgment, and I needed to get it off my chest. And then when I did start having therapy, we went right back to childhood as well, and I did inner child therapy, and it was just, the more I had therapy for about a year, and it literally changed my life. It changed my life, and I wish I'd have done it sooner.
A lot of discovery.
A lot of discovery. And it feels really funny, but I've only just really opened my eyes. It's like I feel since I started having therapy, No, I guess let's just go back a bit. It was only when I hit rock bottom, I literally felt like somebody had smashed me on the floor and I was in a million pieces, just scattered. And it was only really at that point where I had no choice but to start piecing myself back together a bit. On your t-shirt, you've got loads of pieces. I'm like piecing myself back together again. But I think if this makes sense, I'm going to try and articulate myself as much as I can. After Big Brother, I wasn't piecing myself back in the right way. Because I was suppressing things and I was holding these feelings of anger. And it was only really when I went to therapy and I started talking and like starting that journey of self-discovery on a deeper level, like finding out like who I actually truly was and what I wanted and how I felt. That's when I really truly like, I actually feel like it was like an enlightening moment, an enlightening time of my life. And if I hadn't have been smashed into pieces and literally hit rock bottom on national TV, I don't think I would have ever felt like I even wanted to go deeper. And that's why I'm so grateful now for everything that happened, because I think to live is to learn, isn't it?
It's to learn, and sometimes we learn the hard way, unfortunately, and some of us are more resilient than others, and we can go down that path. Some of us are not as resilient, and you can look at prevention and cure and think, yeah, let's prevent it, but we can't prevent everything in life. And it sounds like you've gone through a very challenging time, and it's good that you got the support, because from speaking to you off camera as well, you mentioned to me about this feeling of being judged by people and your confidence and your self-esteem, suffering as well.
Oh, massively. Massive, like, yeah, like I literally went from being such a confident, I feel like I've done a little bit of a 360 now. I went from being a really confident person to literally, I had social anxiety. I couldn't even walk into a room without being conscious people were looking at me. I felt so nervous if I was going to any kind of like event or party, even like family events. I hated literally.
What would you be telling yourself before these events or having to go out? Or what story would you be telling yourself internally?
I'd be telling myself that it was fine. Like, you don't, it's all in your head. It's fine. Like, nobody will ever know that you're not confident. It's, it's fine. But that is when I used to use, well, before and after, but I'd use alcohol. I'd drink after a couple of, shots. I was fine. I was absolutely fine. But then in the morning, I'd wake up and be like, oh my God, what have I said? Like, oh, I wonder how I was with people. Then that's when the judgment would come in and be like, oh God, like, what if they thought that of me? It was just like a constant spiral of caring what people thought of me. Now, I feel like my confidence is definitely, in normal everyday life, my confidence is massively grown again. But now today, I've been triggered by the cameras being on me. So I'm like, oh God, what am I saying? Like, what are people gonna? And it's that judgment again.
It's that external judgment. It's still there, but more manageable.
Yes, definitely more manageable now. And I don't drink. Well, I do. I can't say I don't drink, but I do enjoy a tequila. Don't get me wrong. But I don't drink to suppress it anymore. I never ever drink in the house ever. I don't ever feel like I need a drink. Obviously, if I'm going out or at an event or something, I love a tequila just because of the cleanness of it. Like, it's pure. But that's another story.
There's plenty behind the bar because we're at Egg Nightclub here, and that brought you said when you walked in here, that brought some feelings back because this place has got some relevance to you.
Yes, so I used to dance here, and Egg is like a rave place. You know, this is where everybody comes when they're chasing the night, and it's like, you know, everybody's raving in the daylight. And I used to dance here, and of course back then I was, you know, I was on one. I'd have 15 Cafe Patrons before I even got onto the podium. So yeah, and I walked in here and I was like, oh my God, I had that suppressing, like, anxious feeling. It's the smell. There's something about the smell of a place. It's not even, it's walking in somewhere where I know that I've been in a certain headspace.
Sorry.
Is that mine?
No, it's me probably.
Anyway, the lady behind, the really nice, lovely lady downstairs, she was like, "Are you okay?" I went, "Oh, I feel really anxious because I've just walked in here." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because I used to work here and I feel really like, oh, a certain way." I said, "I'm about to go upstairs and do a podcast all about like mental health and well-being." She said, "See it as a good thing. You've done a 360. You're on a different path in life. See it as a good thing." And I thought, yeah, actually.
So we've been speaking, and I can sense, you know, you talking and thinking about the past and your feelings and emotions and experiences. How are you feeling right now talking to me here?
I'm not going to lie. I literally feel like I've had a lump in my throat the whole time. It's really, really hard. I actually didn't realise how hard that this would be. I don't know what the hell I've said. It feels all like a big blur to me. And I don't know how to describe it other than I feel really uncomfortable. Is that weird that I feel so uncomfortable? I don't feel uncomfortable talking to you at all. I feel uncomfortable with the situation.
Is that, what could you pinpoint with that?
It's the cameras and the lighting and I honestly don't know. I don't know, but I wouldn't choose to be, not that I wouldn't choose to be here, because I want to be here. I really want to be here, and I want to do more of these. I just feel like I'm starting down here, and I've got to work my way up. This is a massive step for me.
Well, one thing I usually say to my clients, and by the way, take your time, have some water.
Thank you.
You know, just relax.
I feel like I've relaxed into it.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, what I would say is what I say often to clients of mine in therapy or in life. It's little steps.
Yeah.
It's little steps, and try not to be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean those feelings get removed, because they're there. Some things obviously triggering them for you, and it's just maybe accepting that they are there.
Yeah. It's a funny one, really, because I feel like, you know, I'll be sat on the train home thinking, oh my God, like, I don't think I really want to do that again, but I've got to push myself to do it. I actually like to feel out of my comfort zone, because I feel like that is life. You've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone in order to grow. And in order for me to grow now and to achieve what I can achieve, I know I can, and by telling my story and just talking more and having...
Well, you're going to be an inspiration to the people watching, because you are stepping outside your comfort zone quite clearly. And from listening to your thing back in November, you know, I thought the reaching out and talking about it would have been something that may or may not have been of interest to you. But I sense you are one of these people, like you've just said, who wants to push through it. And you step it, and no one's made you come here today.
No one's made me at all.
I'm trying to say, there's a part of you that wants to be here.
Yeah.
And if that other part was the part that was saying, no, actually, no, you wouldn't be here. But that's still, we all have different parts, different personalities sitting within us.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just being aware of them. That maybe that's enough. That's enough. And
definitely. I mean, I always knew that I wanted to, after I'd had my therapy, I always, because I love talking so much, it was making me feel so much better. I naturally then, I helped other people by telling them my story and showing them that, you know, there is a way out. There really is a way out. Like, I felt so much better after I talked, and I always knew that I wanted to do it on a bigger scale. I knew that I wanted to not just be talking to my therapist and my family and my friends. I wanted to help other people by sharing my story. So when I filmed the mental health video, I actually filmed it on October the 31st in 2021. And it took me a year to release it.
Oh, right.
A year. I couldn't do it. It made me feel physically sick.
What was holding you back? What was that?
I was so scared of putting myself out there again.
Or being judged?
Yes, of being judged, obviously, because that is obviously a very traumatic kind of. Is it like a blockage, like something that I hold, obviously, from the past, and no amount of therapy can really, you know, it's always going to be there. So I was just, in general, just scared to talk again and just to share my story, but I knew I had to. I wanted to. I just had to push myself through it. I literally remember, when did I release it? When I did it on October the 31st. I remember it being the anniversary, and I said to the guy that I'd filmed it with, my YouTube guy, he was like, you know, now really is as good a time as any. And I was like, it's actually the anniversary of when I filmed it. If I don't press that button and release it now, I'm actually never going to do this. So I remember literally, I went and sat in my bedroom, and I sat on my bed, and I was like, oh my God, like this overwhelming feeling of, I literally felt sick. I feel sick now talking about it. And I clicked the button for it to go live on Instagram. And you know what? As soon as I clicked the button, I literally felt like this, it was like a release. It was like, oh, is that it? I've done it. And I felt so happy. I was so happy. I felt so relieved. And then people started watching it and going, you know, that's so brave of you to share your story. And the most amazing part of it was people were contacting me saying, thank you for sharing your story, because it's made me feel like what I've been holding in, like I can finally tell people what happened to me. And I think that's the most amazing thing. And that's why I wanted to do it. Yes, it was on a personal level as well. You know, I felt like I needed to tell my story and I needed to talk. But helping other people by doing that just felt amazing.
You get something from that, and it's driving you. It drove you to maybe post it, and the responses you got, part of the reason you're here today as well. And you've mentioned about your experience, and I think you touched on, you know, it being traumatic. Have you ever tried EMDR, or
that?
It's therapy for trauma? Because I think, again, when we spoke before, you said you were traumatized. Hypnotherapy, I think you mentioned hypnotherapy.
I started with hypnotherapy, and that really, really worked. But then the therapist that was doing hypnotherapy said, do you want to carry on and just talk? And that's that. So yes, I've had hypnotherapy, and it's called talking therapy, isn't it? Just normal, like, talking.
Well, talking therapy is any therapy, I suppose, where you're talking. Hypnotherapy is, I've experienced it. And then there's EMDR, which is a fairly new therapy. I say fairly new, it goes back to the 80s, but it's proven to be very effective with trauma. So our therapist, Hannah, at the Grey Retreat, she specialises in EMDR. And there's a couple of other therapies as well. So again, there's different ways of looking at trauma and helping with trauma, because it sounds like, you know, these triggers, they're traumatic for you. And whether it's was the Big Brother house with the cameras and lights, or just being in the limelight?
Yeah, no,
anyway,
it actually, it wasn't it actually at the time, it wasn't the cameras and the lights in Big Brother. It wasn't the cameras, because it's the cameras and the lights now, because that's almost like what I remember from, but it was more just
focus on you, the attention on you.
And I felt like I was in this situation where I wasn't being myself at all. I was acting in very, very peculiar ways. It was just like, I cannot believe the way that I behaved in that house. But it was all like, it's just such a blur. But yeah, at the time, like, it wasn't the cameras and the lights, but I guess now it is, if that makes sense. That's the kind of, yeah, I guess it is, because the focus is on me. That didn't make sense at all then, did I?
Well, the focus being on you, you know, if you're out there, whether you're performing or whether, you know, if you're being interviewed, you've got eyes on you, haven't you? And it's different to someone who's just getting on with their lives and having to, you know, do the day-to-day things without
having that
external exposure, if you like.
Yeah.
And people might say, well, what, she's chosen to do that.
I know. And I guess there is that element to it. But what people don't know about me is now, when people, so for example, if you were to look at my Instagram and to watch me talk on a story, I can do that. But when it comes to like creating like any kind of like TikToks or like even just YouTube videos and stuff, it takes me, it's hard for me to do, but I feel like I have to do it in order to push myself. I used to love, like I said to you in the beginning, I used to love being on the camera, but now I don't. So now I'm just trying to push myself and act confident when actually I'm really not.
So what was helping you with that? Did the therapy, or I know you're training as well, physically? Oh
yeah, like the training, that's helped me so much. It was I started training at the same time as having the therapy. So I was, you know, when you're training as hard as I do with weights and stuff, it is a mental thing, because you have to push yourself through it.
100K, haven't you?
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah, and like, you know, I've never trained. I was one of these pink dumbbell girls. It was like, oh, you know, not that there's anything wrong with the pink dumbbell girls, but I mean, I've never seen myself as a weight trainer ever. But weight training, it's not even a physical thing. Like it just so happens that I've got in the best shape of my life, and I'm really, really toned. I'm joking, by the way, but just really, really toned. But it's nothing to do with. It's more a mental thing. It's like, you know, when I go into that gym and my trainer's like, right, we're going to be doing, you know, we're going to be pushing through to get that 100 kg squat. It's like, right, someone's challenged me to do something. I want to do it. I've got to push myself to do it. And I've done it. No, I've done the 100 kg deadlift.
It's impressive.
I did my first pull-up yesterday, and pull-ups are really hard. It was like, aren't they? Can you do pull-ups? Obviously, because you're a guy. But I mean, for me, I was like, that's really hard, because you've got to literally hang and then... Anyway, I did it. And next is my 100 kg squat. But yes, that's a mental thing. Really, really helped me to, like, push myself, be stronger mentally.
No, so do you get more benefits? I'm thinking, you know, when I go to the gym, I sleep better at night.
Yeah.
I'm focused there at the gym, so all the crap that's going on either the day before or what I've got to walk into, that's out of the way, because I'm just there doing that.
That's the thing, like for that hour that I'm training, it's like you forget everything else. It's just you focused on the task in hand, lifting the weights, doing what you have to do. I feel amazing after. That's changed my life as well. I literally feel amazing. It's a real culmination of things. Like not drinking, not partying like I do. I mean, I do think life is all about balance. I do still love to party, but I party in a completely different way now. So I hate nightclubs. I think nightclubs are actually quite negative. I think it's filled with a lot of negative energy. But I love music.
Sorry, by the way. You know.
I know, sorry. But I love the music and I love the energy. So I go to the raves, like I'm going to Miami to literally go and party, but it's full of like amazing high energy people who are also happy and vibing. And I don't know where I was going with that at all. This is what I do. I go off on a tangent.
A change of lifestyle is what we were talking about. Did you?
Yeah.
Have you changed nutrition at all?
Yes.
Everything. How's that helped?
So this is what I was saying. Oh yeah, you just reminded me. So it's a culmination, like not drinking.
Balance we were talking about.
The balance, like I am so aware now of what I put into my body. I'm so healthy, and my God, it just makes you feel amazing. It just makes you realize.
How did it make you feel amazing? What did it improve in your life? The type of food and the better food.
Okay, so for example, I swapped out having a sugary cup of tea with 2 slices of white toast and butter in the morning. That was just my everyday standard breakfast. Like, what's the nutritional value in that? Nothing. To now, God, I literally find joy in making shakes, like filling it with fruit and chia seeds and manuka honey, and like just it just makes you feel so much better because you're fueling your body the way it should be fueled. So of course it makes you feel better. Like nutrition is everything, I think.
It's a big part.
God, it's a huge part. How you fuel your body is so important. And that's why, I was going to come on to this, but I'm doing what I'm doing now because...
Is this your new business?
This is my new business, yeah. And I'm so, so, so excited because this is what I love to do. I love, like, it actually fills me with the whole, like, wellness, being healthy and taking care of yourself and being kind to yourself and doing that on a personal level and being able to share it with everybody else and show everybody else how to be healthy, what kind of supplements to use and it makes me feel so good. I love it. I feel like I finally found my path. Like after everything, I feel like I'm finally now on my on the path, on my, where I should be, and it's helping other people. So yes, I have something really, really exciting that I've been working on, and it is a wellness brand. I am going to be an all-encompassing, I want to help motivate and inspire and uplift. I want to create a community of like-minded people who want to see each other be the best version of themselves. I think anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I can't yet release the name. Not yet, because we haven't launched yet, but it's going to be,
launching soon?
Yeah, launching very, very soon.
So this, maybe experience with Big Brother and what happened, and then the changes you made in your life, mentally, physically, spiritually, has been the catalyst maybe to taking you to this path.
It has. And that is what fills me with absolute. I'm happy now. I all of a sudden just feel everything's just lifted and I feel so happy. And I think that's why, yes, I clam up and I feel all anxious when I talk about the past. Obviously, clearly that's something that I still need to work on. But if it hadn't have been for all those experiences, I wouldn't be here where I am today. I think it just shows to me that I wasn't on the right path then. I was so lost, and now I am where I'm supposed to be now.
So what's your inner energy like now?
My inner energy, I just feel, I actually feel really happy all the time. I genuinely really, really do. I feel fulfilled, happy, at peace. I don't feel like there's a black cloud over me anymore. I just feel really like on a good level. I definitely I'm very I soak in other people's negative energy though. It's really weird. I'm just totally going off a spiral then. But just being in London, sorry to say this, but obviously I lived here for 12 years and now I live in the countryside in Yorkshire. And my God, my energy when I got back to London, I felt really, really suppressed being on the tube and just being around. I think it's just maybe the heaviness of London. But yeah, in general, I feel like my energy is amazing. I'm like vibing high. I'm loving my life. But funnily enough, like coming back to the place where I lived for so long, really, I don't know, I felt like my energy had kind of lowered the minute I got off there.
It's not because of the train strikes, is it?
Oh, that's so annoying, isn't it? Bloody train strikes. No, it's just, yeah, I guess that's just being on the tubes and stuff. I do just in general like soak up other people's energy. That's why I love to be around like-minded people. If I ever feel myself in a situation where I'm with anyone that I feel like is an energy vampire or making me feel suppressed or a certain way, I get myself out of there.
So what do you do to relax these days?
Do you know, this sounds so cliche, but when I put my little boy to bed, I literally run a really hot bath, candles. I love reading. I love reading and learning about things, and I guess that's how I relax. Just music, reading, candles.
What are you reading at the moment?
I've gone back to what's it called? Eckhart Tolle's what's it called? I've read it about 5,000 times. Please tell me no. Please get me out of this.
There's a few, but I know who the gentleman is.
Not Power of... Oh, it is Power of Now. I think it might be Power of Now. I keep... It's like my little Bible. I always go back to it. Because that's one thing that I do now that I never used to do before. And that is living in the present moment. And literally, I live in the present. Yeah. And I'm like, just so grateful for Eckhart Tolle is just amazing. I just love him. Like everything he says, I'm like, wow, oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm reading. It's a New Earth. It's just come to me. It's called A New Earth. It's amazing, and it's just all about basically just being in the present moment. And I do feel like since everything that happened to me on reality TV and being kind of enlightened almost, I do feel like I'm on this amazing like spiritual path now.
There's obviously a lot going on for you in terms of your new business, and running a business can and usually is stressful. How are you going to manage all that? How are you going to find your balance?
I'm not going to lie, this month has been quite stressful just because this business kind of came out of nowhere really, but it was completely meant to be. I have a business, have a friend, Callum, who's now my business partner, but he initially came to me and asked me to be the face of this new supplements brand. And I was like, I want to do more than that. I want to be more than just the face. I want to invest in this. I want it to be my new baby. I want it to be a co-founder as well. Anyway, because of that, there's a lot of work that goes into running a business, and I've never done it before. So this last month has been, it's just things like all the stuff that you don't think about, like setting up the limited company and trademarking it and doing all of that kind of stuff. It's been stressful, but I guess a good stress in a way because it's mine, and.
Stress sometimes good. It gets us to do things, hit our goals. But how are you going to find your balance with it all?
So I do. So I've had quite a stressful month with it all. I guess I do just stay balanced in general. I train twice a week. I make sure that I don't get too stressed. I like to think that my life is just always balanced. So yeah, there is a little bit more stress at the moment, but it's good stress, you know. It's not like it's all good stress. So I guess, yeah, that's the answer to your question. I'm just trying to stay balanced
with everything that you've got coming up.
Yeah.
So coming to the end of our time on the podcast, is there a message for the listeners that you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to leave them with?
I think if there's anything in life that you are going through or struggling with, or if you're going through hard times, no matter what is happening, it will get better, but just open yourself up, talk about it, don't suppress it inside you, because, you know, it's just good to talk, I guess that's what I found has really, really helped me. And see it as a good thing. Anything that's happening is kind of, you know, we're all learning, we're all evolving, we're all growing, and I think that's what life is about, learning more about yourself as you kind of go on. So yeah.
Well, thank you for being here, being vulnerable. I asked you a lot of things there that brought up a lot of emotions and feelings for you that were difficult, even like you say for you now. And thank you for sharing it with our people watching. I'm sure that vulnerability would have connected with them, and if it helps, you know, at least one person or more out there be able to deal with what might be going on for them. And you finish on talking, and something so simple that we always say but so important. So thank you, Laura. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm buzzing that it's over. No,
grab your coat and
no, I feel really good. I feel, again, it's just pushing you. It's just, you know, I didn't think I'd be that nervous, but as soon as I sat down, I was like, wow, this is a lot. But I feel really, I guess I feel proud. I've done something that I have felt a little bit uncomfortable with, but thank you for inviting me and for talking to me, and yeah, I'll go and have a tequila now. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Behind the bar. This is Andreas Patikis, your fellow traveller on life's journey, signing out.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any thoughts, feelings or reflections on today's podcast, please leave them on the comments section on our website or social media channels. You can find more episodes and information at www.thegreycotswolds.co.uk. This is Andreas Patikis, your fellow traveller on life's journey, signing off.